And welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Tim D-O-double-G. And tonight I'm joined by at PCN_Dirt on Twitter.
Hey, it's me! Yay! Hi, everybody.
And we also have at Agent_70 on Twitter.
What's up, everybody?
And last but not least, we have at Roddy Cat on Twitter.
You have now joined the Comic Book Chronicles.
He doesn't get applause? What happened?
No, I just drowned him out with whatever he was saying. My bad.
That's fine. What's up?
Glad to have you back on the show this week.
Glad to be
welcome
back.
So yes, you are watching or listening to the Comic Book Chronicles, which you can find on thekliqnation.com. Make sure to go to it to find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles, comic book reviews, KLIQ Nation podcast, Fresh Coast KLIQ podcast. Make sure to follow the Twitter account at thekliqnation. Like the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/thekliqnation. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/thekliqnation. Add us to your Google Plus circles. Search for The KLIQ Nation. Subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and 5-star reviews. Use the hashtag Comic Book Chronicles on your favorite social media websites. And a reminder that we record live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're home on a Thursday night, join in and watch the show live and send us some feedback. Use that hashtag Comic Book Chronicles.
And if you're on IRC, it's Comic Book Chron.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, IRC.
That's for chat rooms, isn't it?
That's the way back.
Yeah.
Oh, so we have a chat room going.
Good.
Actually, I found this other I forget what they're called, where you could like embed a chat room into like a website post.
Oh yeah.
I did that for one show, and I mean we had a couple people join in. Might have to bring that back out. But a couple weeks ago was the Dragon Con comic book and sort of geek culture convention in Atlanta, Georgia, and our own Roddy Cat was able to attend.
It's actually more sci-fi focus, but they do kind of, they make the comic book rounds and all that other jazz, and definitely the geek culture stuff. So it was a pretty good time. I should have pulled up a link.
Swag.
Well, I didn't get much swag because I didn't have much in the way of funds. Actually, I did have the one thing that I'm actually happy that I kind of came with was the set of Star Trek DS9 trading cards.
Wow.
And as you see, it's still in the shrink wrap because I don't want to open it. But
Wow.
But outside of that, the conference in itself was actually pretty good. There were a lot of, as a panel-driven convention, as these things are, there is a lot of, sometimes you have to make some concessions because you either might not be able to get to one panel or you got two different panels at the same time that you're trying to get to. And it's that internal struggle. So the stuff that I get to, I do have pictures of that stuff that is on my Flickr page, and I will tweet that link out after a while. And I did get some costume pictures because, hey, that's what you do. That said, there was I think the only comic-related panel I went to was like a creator-owned panel. That was, I'm trying to remember who everybody was with, but I know Kelly Sue DeConnick, Van Jensen, Nathan Edmondson, and that was and it was a good time. and the conference in itself was actually pretty good. So I will be going back again at some point, probably next year. Actually, definitely next year.
This is where I add where I will try to attend next year since it's actually here in my state.
Yes, you should.
I was actually out of the state, so could
It's
not
like it's a real big joker because it's like you got 5 hotels you got to go through between and rows of people.
No kidding.
sounds like a
yeah.
headache.
Well, if you're a person like me who don't really like crowds that much or that for long, yeah, it can kind of be. But it was actually pretty fun just to seeing everybody walk around with, not everybody, but bunches of people walk around with their costumes and groups of people, people in their groups doing various activities. There were people just sitting on the corner playing Cards Against Humanity.
Is this inside the hotels or outside? Like
Well,
outside?
both actually. I mean, because there are a lot of hotels. I mean, all of the hotels are like really crowded because people are going back and forth between panels and stuff. Or people just walking around. They had like one building set up for just selling stuff. So and that was like 2 floors. I kind of went around there, and it was crowded as hell, even on Sunday. But that was probably the best day to go because people are trying to get rid of stuff, and which means they kind of mark stuff down.
Right.
So, but that said, yeah, I mean, and of course there are panels that are bigger than others that are held in like the bigger rooms that get crowded real fast and have real long lines. And there were a couple of them that were the case. So, gotta deal with all of that stuff. But like I said, good time was had by me.
Cool.
Did you get some stuff signed?
Say again?
Did you get some stuff signed?
No, like I said, it was more. I mean, there was an artist. There was an artist alley somewhere around there, which I didn't really get around to, and obviously other sci-fi people that were signing stuff in various places, but I didn't really get around to too much of that stuff because I didn't really have anything to get signed anyway. So.
Okay. Trying to figure out. There's someone's giving feedback. I'm guessing for some reason I think it might be Dirt.
All right, here, wait. Let me turn this.
But now I think you've muted yourself.
Yeah.
Say something again.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, you can't hear you now.
Here, if it's still making that sound, so you'd know if it was my microphone or not.
Yeah, it's you.
Hey, for once it's not me.
Is it? Here, let me turn down. Let me turn down NXT. It's probably the NXT pay-per-view here. Let me turn it down. All right. And from closed captions, I'll mute it.
It actually does sound like the fan noise that is usually associated with Agent 70.
Is it my heavy breathing?
That's comedy.
Alright. It's still there, but we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Comic book news for the week. Constantine cast Jim Corrigan, aka the Future Spectre. I don't know who Jim Corrigan is. That's the Spectre, right? That's not the guy that's playing him, is it?
Yeah, that's the name of the character.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Alter ego.
So when does this? I guess I need to go online and see when all this stuff starts coming on TV and set my recorder to record them.
I believe Agents of Shield is in like 2 weeks, and I believe is Gotham after that.
I know the CW stuff is in October.
October, yeah.
Okay.
I think the 23rd is for Agents of Shield. I do think I remember that part. And then 2 weeks later, or a week or two later, was like Gotham or something. I don't remember, but everything else I'm not sure.
Is there a show that we are looking forward to more than the others? I'm gonna say Arrow and The Flash.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Flash definitely. Agents of Shield, even though I still need to catch up on that and Arrow. But those are probably the two.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
Same here. I'm looking forward to The Flash.
Yeah, I'm wary of anything that's on the CW, but it's the Flash, and I've always liked the Flash, so I'll probably give it a shot.
Yeah.
Nice. I need to harass Candace Patton on Twitter and get her on an episode. She's playing Iris West.
Got
Get back to working on that.
more than
What was
anything
that,
else.
Derek?
I said Gotham is probably the one show I'm looking forward to more than anything else, though.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Seems to be getting a lot of buzz. I guess we talked. I can't remember if we actually talked about Netflix carrying the series, but they will.
I think y'all did mention it. Yeah.
All right.
It's one of those shows that Gotham looks like it'll be a good show regardless of the fact that it's the Batman universe. You know what I mean? Whereas the hook of the Flash is to see the Flash and to see Captain Cold and to see the Weather Wizard and all of that over the top stuff. But it looks like Gotham is just going to be a good crime noir type show. It just happens to be Oswald Cobblepot and Selena Kyle and Jim Gordon and all those characters.
Right. Did it say anything about? I know Gotham. I've heard of the book Gotham PD was supposed to be pretty good. Did they say whether they were going to incorporate any of that?
I don't believe.
They're doing anything like directly from it, like they're not adapting that or anything. But I think it's one of those things that's always in the back of their mind that GCPD was such a good series and it was made in that same type of vein that it's probably influencing them, but not necessarily that they're adapting it.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's see. The first autistic superhero comic book has sold out in stores. Comic commemorates a 3-year-old fallen fan.
Yeah, that one. The reason why I put that one in there because that one was local to me. Apparently, Sanford Green. As a matter of fact, the book for it has already came out. Sanford Green did the art for Uncanny Avengers 23, which came out, I believe, when I was at.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, when I was at DragonCon, and I think Agent 70. You read that one, right?
What's that?
Uncanny Avengers.
I read it.
Oh, last week?
Yeah, week for last, whenever it was.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so that's where the tribute was, and
oh, that's right at the back, by the artist.
Right, and apparently the guy was local here, and he did a signing at a comic book shop that was not too far from me, and not too far from the job, but I didn't get a chance to get over there because I was working. But that's the reason why I wanted to put that in there because it was just local to me, and it was a cool thing,
Yeah, that was a good story. Well, a sad story, but
yeah. Because basically what it was that apparently a kid had a tree fall on him in a park that's not too far away from there, if I'm not mistaken, from me. And the guy found out about it, Sanford Green found out about it, who actually works at Benedict as an instructor, and he wanted to do something, so he did that. And he was already working on Uncanny Avengers, so he just asked them to put that in there.
And he got to draw an Uncanny Avengers book.
And that too, yeah.
All right. Boom announces Wade Jones collaboration, new Cho project. Quantum and Woody to go to the Harvey Awards. And actually, that'll just transition straight to, we can get to announcing the 2014 Harvey Award winners. Let me open the link here. I guess we don't need to go through every single.
Right. I was going to say
link is one of those things you can do before the show, so you have it ready.
I was just going to say that, by the way, I think the Baltimore Comic Con is a con I want to visit in the future. It's definitely within driving distance of New York City, and I like the fact that they have the Harvey Awards. So I'm thinking that maybe next year will be a visit to Baltimore for the Comic Con.
I know, yeah, it seemed like a lot of people went to it. So let's see. Best Letterer, Terry Moore for Rachel Rising. Best Colorist, Dave Stewart, Hellboy, The Midnight Circus. Best Online Comics Work, Battle Pug from Mike Norton. Best American Edition of Foreign Material, Attack on Titan. Best Inker, Wade Von Rob Badger, all new X-Men. Best new series, Sex Criminals.
Woo!
I knew Roddy Cat was happy about that one.
Most prom.
Also, Chip Zdarsky for most promising talent. I think you was about to do that one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Special award for humor in comics, Ryan North for Adventure Time, and which also won Best Original Graphic Publication for younger readers.
Mouse Guard got best graphic album.
Yay!
Best cover artist, Fiona Staples Saga. Best biographical, historical, or journalistic presentation, The Fifth Beatle, the Brian Epstein story.
Yay!
Congratulations to Vivek.
Yes.
Good job, Vivek.
They also won Best Graphic Album Original.
Yay!
Best Continuing or Limited Series Saga, which also got Best Writer for Brian K. Vaughan.
Yep.
Best Artist for Fiona Staples. Best Cartoonist Paul Pope Battling Boy. And Best Single Issue or Story, Pizza is My Business, Hawkeye number 11.
Which I knew I forgot to wear my shirt.
Ha 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 ha.
So, congrats to all of them.
Cool.
Voice of 90s animated Spider-Man joins Disney at Steve's Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors. Which, has that started yet?
Yeah, I think it has.
Has it?
I think so.
We gotta
I
catch
could have sworn I saw a listing for it like last week or two.
I think they had like a sneak preview last week or week before last. And then it doesn't officially start for like maybe next week or next month or something.
What character is he playing?
Spider Knight.
Okay.
I was about to say the second best Spider-Man voice.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 premiere guest stars Peggy Carter and George Stephanopoulos.
And the
Howling
Commando.
Yes, that's very cool. You can get to see Dum Dum again, and I never knew the guy's name as a Howling Commando. I'm like, it's the Asian guy. Jim Morita, I think his name is.
You're allowed to say the Asian guy?
I'm Asian, so I can say the Asian guy.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Let's see. Captain America 3 will change the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a big way. Dun, dun, dun. So the rumor going around is people are speculating that the title for Captain America 3 will be Captain America Civil War.
Eh.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps telling me that Marvel hasn't established enough heroes in their cinematic universe to do a Civil War. I disagree. I mean,
Not like
it can
that
still
would
happen.
anyway. Yeah.
Who said you have to have like 20 plus superheroes to do a Civil War style story? And it would be different anyway, so it would be the cinematic universe's version of it.
Yeah, but
Well, yeah, because you have Xavier's mansion that they showed in the X-Men movies had all of those mutants running. Oh, wait, they can't use those.
Oh, and they can't have, Spider-Man unmasked. Oh, wait, no, they can't do that either.
And Ben Grimm can't get tired and leave, and etc. etc. etc.
That's right. Forget all that extraneous stuff.
They can kill Bill Foster because he hasn't been established.
Oh.
Down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Ron Peraza joins Amazon as creative director for Amazon Publishing. It's like he just got a new job. Maybe I'm confusing with someone else. I thought he just got a new job like a year ago. But I'm probably thinking of someone else. But congrats to him.
Sure. We'll see what he ends up doing.
So a new comic book from Marvel was announced this week. Wolverine and the X-Men will be ending and replaced in December by Spider-Man and the X-Men.
Okay, wait. Here's my reaction to this. Okay.
Laughing at Google.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that was it seems like somebody dies and then Spider-Man ends up doing a favor for him.
Yeah. Well, we gotta have someone
He's the everyman.
So unpopular, filled a person's shoes.
Kind of hurt the whole point of the X-Men and everything because he's not a mutant. He wasn't born with his powers.
He was at one time.
That's what makes it interesting.
Exactly. He can bring a non-mutant perspective to the school.
Unless he needs to be incredibly hostile towards all of them. He should just walk in. You're all freaks. I got bit by a spider. What's your excuse? And then it might be something interesting. I might be willing to read it.
You know, if Otto was still around, that would probably be worth it.
And I would definitely buy. I'd buy like 3 copies.
Yeah.
He fancies himself I guess, instructor anyway. So yeah, that would be funny. Of course, I'll give the first couple issues a try and see how I like it. If the preview art is the same as on the inside, at least I know I'll like the artist.
Is it the same writer and artist and everything from?
No, it's a new team. There's some guy that writes for the Jon Stewart Daily Show. He's done like a Wolverine annual and an issue of Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Oh, top notch.
What was that?
Nothing. Don't worry.
Say again.
No.
We didn't catch that.
I did.
When will Marvel invite Kelly Sue DeConnick to the Writers' Summits? So I guess originally I was going to rant on this, but now since the time's come, my energy is not into it as much. But basically it comes down to Matt Fraction and Kelly Sue were on some podcast being interviewed, and Kelly Sue was talking about being involved in like the writer's room type style of writing for some book for Dark Horse, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I guess she started like saying how it was her first time, experiencing that, and then she kind of cut herself off, and like Matt was telling her telling her to go on, and she basically came down to how she's never been invited to the Marvel Writer Summit retreats,
even though it seemed like she was basically trying to be diplomatic about it.
Yeah. So of course, someone I guess listened to the podcast and decided to at Tom Brevoort online about it, saying like, you got something against, allowing women into the writing room or whatever, blah blah blah. And Brevoort replied back that it's only for Marvel exclusive writers, which of course brings up a whole bunch of other questions, asking, is everyone that's actually at these retreats exclusive writers? Because a whole bunch of people have work at Image just like she does, and I guess she has Image and Dark Horse, but almost everyone at the retreats also writes for Image. And Charles Soule.
But I was about to say, if they have an exclusive contract, I mean, yeah, they all have like contracts that likely allow them to do their own creator-owned stuff. Right. But I would guess that they want exclusive. They want the exclusive creators at these summits, so that not that there's a lot of trade secrets, but they probably do have some agreement to not talk about this stuff outside of the summit. So it sort of makes sense.
Most of that stuff are pretty much about events and arcs that they're trying to do within the groups and all that other stuff. So,
Is she writing more than one book for Marvel?
No.
Well, that might be the other thing too. You have a guy like Matt Fraction would be there because he's doing like 6 books for Marvel.
Right before, right.
Right. I mean, but you've got someone who's only doing 1 book. I don't know that it really makes that much difference that they're at one of these big brainstorming sessions where they're doing the crossovers and the big event stuff.
Right, because whatchamacallit, there's no longer an Avengers Assemble. I know that she was on that.
That's right. I forgot she was doing that at the time. So yeah, she was doing 2. But anyway, so.
Yeah, and Brevoort went on with a back and forth with some dude with Bleeding Cool. I just saw, so rabbled in that part.
Yeah. The trolling hub of the comic universe, so you just got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, anything that they come up with.
Yeah. Right. I do like the point they brought up about how, the retreats is where the long form storytelling for the universe takes place. So if you're not including other people, they don't really get opportunities to be included in these big event storytelling uh, ideas.
Right. And I've said it before. I would love to be on the fly on the wall of one of those. But
Yeah. So I've been sitting here trying to remember. I think they just recently had a retreat, and I was trying to remember the two new people that got invited to it, and it was Jerry Duggan and James Robinson.
I think Charles Soule was in that one too, also, right?
Well, yeah, him and Scotty Young were at the last one in April, but
Right.
they had one since then,
Oh,
and it kind of made sense because both of them are writing multiple books for Marvel and kind of high profile books.
Signed an exclusive contract, didn't he?
Who's that? Duggan?
No, didn't Soul just sign an exclusive contract with Marvel?
yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
just did. Just
Yeah, so that was probably in the works, back then.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just had to wait for him to free up some of his other projects so they could actually sign it and announce it.
Official Armed for Combat Batmobile photo was released from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
I didn't look at it. What did it interview?
Yeah, it looks terrible.
Looks like a tank.
Yeah, I'm not fond of it.
To me, it looks like it belongs in the old Richard Donner Superman movies. Like it's made out of the crystals from the Fortress of Solitude. It's weird. All these little angular, long, pointy bits just
Right.
running along it. I don't know. It just looks weird.
See, what's funny to me
I
is
thought you were
that
about to say it had wee sharp teeth.
what I was going to say is what's funny to me is that I guess because we grew up, reading the comics and even seeing it in animated form, I was always under the impression that the Batmobile would be sleek with a lot of, smooth lines and
Like the '89 one.
exactly. So, you get the more the movies try to make it look cool and sell toys, the less it looks like a Batmobile.
Well, when they signed Ben Affleck, you just knew right there it was going in the toilet. So, I mean, what doesn't matter anything else they do.
Hmm. So, I say it looks like a tank. And news that broke, I guess, before we start recording, which is kind of interesting if it actually happens. DC Teen Titans or Titans may be coming to TNT as the live action series.
Damn you, DC! You may not stay losing if I end up watching this show.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope to like Flash. Maybe that'll be a tie-in to. Actually, no, they probably won't tie in. It'll be on different networks. So
Yeah.
stupid. So stupid.
You gotta give them credit for spreading their wealth around.
So
Right, but Flash is an original. Or at least the Wally West Flash is an original Titan. So
well, here, how about this? So the writer of the pilot is the same one who wrote A Beautiful Mind and the Da Vinci Code. Not Dan Brown, but Akiva Goldsman.
okay.
And Batman Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you leave off your resume.
Ah,
That's like the movie you did in college because you needed money, but you don't tell anybody about it.
no.
That and Catwoman.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh gosh.
All right.
That's funny. And on that note, right?
Yeah. On that note, we will be getting to our comic book reviews for the week.
Oh, I just wanted to mention just very quickly for our tri-state area, Northeast United States listeners and viewers. Anyone who's going to New York Comic Con will have seen that New York Comic Con went from having like almost no entertainment guests to having a pretty big slate. Now they've got the cast of The Walking Dead coming to promote the upcoming season. They're probably going to have members of the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and members of the cast of Daredevil, the Netflix series, at New York Comic Con. So, like I said, it went from 0 to 60 very, very fast. And I'm excited, but also just my last note, sort of an editorial on this. the last couple of years, it's been Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they're spreading out their programming so that there's things to do on Friday. And, a lot of these entertainment panels are on Friday. So, what's a guy to do who has to work for a living and, maybe doesn't want to take off Friday?
No, you be a man about it, and you fake throwing up on Thursday before you leave work,
There you go.
so you get Friday off.
There you go. There you go. I'm sort of telegraphing my dilemma there, trying to think, oh, okay, maybe I'll just set it up. That's funny.
The Superboy Futures End was this month or this week. Hello.
What's that?
Yep. Hello? Yeah?
Oh, okay. Huh, I need to check that out.
Is that not in the folder?
No.
Oh, okay. I've got a review copy of that. I guess I just forgot to upload it.
That's
It was
fine.
terrible.
Take care of that post haste.
Did you read it?
No.
And
Do
now
I plan on reading it? Probably not, but
How you gonna say it's horrible then?
No, I was joking.
Oh, okay.
So that was the reason why you didn't put it in the folder, because it's terrible.
Yeah, I've got 6 months worth of Superboy sitting there that I was planning on getting to because I was kind of interested in the whole idea that they killed one off and then brought another one in to take his place, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
I was about to spoil it for you, but I won't. It's worth reading. I liked it. I liked Aaron Cooter writing and Jorge Jimenez art. Hope he gets on something else. But so who has a book they want to recommend first? It's just Spider-Verse #1. Fine, I'll say something.
Sure.
As Derek pulls it up.
Maybe.
So this is a 4 or 5 issue, I forget how many issue limited series to get us kickstarted for the Spider-Verse event. This one dealing with the Spider-Man noir of 1933, 1930s. My first encounter with him.
Okay.
It was an okay issue. The villain was Mysterio. So it's basically all of Spider-Man's, not all of them, but Spider-Man's villains recreated, in the spirit of the 1930s. So more real world. Mysterio is a magician, and you still have your Aunt May and Mary Jane and Peter Parker still kind of the same, except Spider-Man has been. It's like a cross between Spider-Man and Moon Knight. It's like Spider-Man. So something with some spider god or something is how he got his powers.
He's the fist of the spider god. Is that what it is?
I guess.
Either that or another totem, some mess.
It was an okay issue, but I'm looking forward to the next issue with Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman.
Yeah. I've actually got that one on my pull list, my physical pull list. I'm looking forward to that one. That one looks good.
I might have to get me a physical copy of that too. All right. Anyone else have one they want to throw out?
Let's go with Miss Marvel #8. When Kamala meets Lockjaw.
This was a fun issue.
I like this
It
issue.
really was.
It was nice to see Alfona back on art too.
Yeah. So basically, Medusa sends Lockjaw to, I suppose, just kind of keep an eye on Kamala for a little bit, and then they meet in a quite funny way, and go on an adventure because she's still trying to continue to hunt down the bird creature thing that's was kidnapping people and do things with. So it was a real fun story. I enjoyed it immensely.
It was good. It's I'm glad you brought it up because this is one of my my sleeper options for Click of the Week this week because I really had a good time reading this.
Yeah.
And
So I assume it's going to go a little further because I kind of seemed like it was setting up either obviously she's going to meet other Inhumans at some point and probably Medusa and folk. So I guess it's going to set her kind of learning about that part of her and whatever else she ends up doing. It feels like she's probably going to go on she's going to be the one hunting down, and not hunting down, but looking for Inhumans. But
I wonder
that
if
may
they're
not be
even
the
tie
case.
her into all that. Or they're trying to keep her separate to kind of tell her own learning how to be a hero stories.
Yeah, I feel like it seems like they would keep her kind of separate, but they might, I don't know, because I don't know what's going on in the main book. So, but it doesn't seem like what's going on there would probably be too much for her.
Okay.
I mean, they do drop. Just as a quick aside, in this week's Inhuman #5, they do drop a note, old school Marvel style, regarding where Lockjaw is.
Right.
And they actually drop a note saying, "Oh, Lockjaw is in this month's Ms. Marvel. Go take a look." That's pretty. That was pretty cool. And ultimately, what I think they're going to do is just loosely weave them together, but still have Ms. Marvel be on her own and doing her own thing, learning how to be a hero, but still having that backdrop. They've been dropping and this is obviously a well-worn tactic, dropping guest stars galore to try to get the sales up and to get more exposure for the book.
Right.
Okay. Death of Wolverine #2.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. See, what's funny is that I'm an old school Wolverine fan, and I enjoyed to a certain extent where the story kind of draws elements from. And for those of you, did you guys read it?
Yes.
No.
I reviewed it
All
on
right.
TheClickNation.com
Okay,
and
cool.
PopCultureNetwork.com.
There you go. Where is it?
You did? I don't think I got a link for this.
Oh, I didn't send it to you.
Oh. It's on its way.
Yeah, apparently.
It's in the mail.
He sent it by Hogwarts Owl.
Oh no.
I'll send you the link now.
Like Hedwig's long lost twin, right? But anyway, so as I said, I'm enjoying like the little bits of Marvel history that Soul is pulling on to establish I guess the overarching story, but there's a couple of weak, like to me, were just kind of weak elements of this particular book that forced me to lose or to just it took me out of the book. I had to suspend my my disbelief for a little while because I wasn't convinced by what was going on. That's kind of a sad way to be in a comic where you pull back away from the page and you're like, why is this happening? How could this happen? So that's a downside to to this issue. I can't spoil too much by talking about what they're pulling on, but if you were and speaking of the last second guest star in this book, if anyone read some of the Wolverine limited series in the 80s, specifically Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, which wasn't the best received series, but still okay. I have them all. I have all the issues. There's definitely elements of that in this. So, if anyone is an old school Wolverine fan, Soul is really drawing on some of the older elements of Wolverine's story to older, like time, our time, not necessarily Wolverine's time, to establish where the story's going. So, it was an uneven read for me. I'll put it that way. Like I said, I like those little, I guess, throwback moments. But otherwise, it was kind of an uneven read for me.
Interesting. I thought it was fine. I like that. I guess there was action in the last issue, but we had a little short Sabretooth Wolverine throwdown.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote in my review, I wonder, for issues 2, 3, and 4, well, of course, we know what's going to happen in the fourth, but each issue going forward is going to be like a major injury to Wolverine each issue, count down to the end, since he suffered one here.
Right.
I liked his disguise look, looking like a mobster.
I thought it was funny because he was completely unrecognizable.
Yeah.
I was like, who is that?
But so yeah, I like the plot that, and I guess not too much of a spoiler. I guess we'll see, but the plot of it's not just. I guess when I envisioned Death of Wolverine, I thought it would just be like him going out in like a blaze of glory type
Mhm.
thing. But there's actually like a plot of there's someone targeting Weapon Plus members,
Right.
and maybe some of them having to band together to find out who's doing it and stop them.
Well, I don't want to. I don't know if I want to go call it. Is it? Are they all Weapon Plus members that are being stalked, or maybe is it people who have adamantium in them?
I assumed it was Weapon Plus, but that's just me assuming.
Hmm.
Does Viper have adamantium in her?
No, but I don't think she's a target.
She said people like us, I think she said.
Hmm. I don't think she's a Weapon Plus product either. But I refer to one of the. I don't again. I don't want to spoil too much because it's probably worth a read for anyone that's a fan of Wolverine. There is a guest star in this, a guest villain in this issue. That's definitely adamantium based.
Oh yeah,
So
forgot about this person.
Isn't there a villain in there that isn't supposed to be around?
That was last issue.
Oh, okay.
Nuke.
Yeah, Nuke. Which I forget which website. It was CBR's interview with him. He tried to explain it away. Continuity.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. It's supposedly like he said. Remender left some kind of plot hole where he could be still alive or something. Something that didn't make any sense. The dude was blown up.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, whatever.
That's funny. All right. So what else we got?
Tell me about Fantastic Four.
Just very quickly, again, we're dealing with the breaking down of the Fantastic Four member by member. There isn't anything fun in this issue, to be perfectly honest. Unlike the bits with Dragon Man and the Future Foundation, the cover. What's funny about the cover? This actually happens in the story, unlike some of the other covers we've seen. In comics in the recent past. There is a guest star that comes to save the day, that comes to save Reed Richards' Fanny while he's fighting this new iteration of the Frightful Four, who may be foreshadowing a part of Axis and definitely the future of the Sorcerer Supreme in the Marvel Universe. So we'll leave it at that. Again, not wanting to spoil too much. We do touch upon each member of the Fantastic Four and how they're coping with their rapidly degrading situations. The opening of the book deals with the reappearance of She-Thing, the former Miss Marvel. And she's basically, I'm not spoiling anything here because this was revealed at the end of last issue, but she's basically taking over a branch of Rikers Island where there's super strong baddies, and that's where Ben Grimm has been thrown. He's been locked up for the alleged murder of the Puppet Master. So we see She-Thing, Sharon Ventura, reappear, and she's basically still teasing what's going on and what the overarching plot is against the Fantastic Four. We still don't know who the big bad is. We don't know when they're going to reveal who is behind this effort to destroy the Fantastic Four, break them down member by member. But I'm hoping at some point, before I'm guessing it's going to be before they go back to blue costumes. So, this issue, could you have done without it? Probably, but there's a couple of bits in here that move the story along. It's probably worth reading if you have been reading it so far. I don't think it's very new reader friendly. You may want to wait until they go back to the blue costumes to jump on. How's that for a damning,
Do they ever actually explain why they switched to the red?
No.
Okay. Yeah,
I
was
don't
curious.
believe so. If they did, I don't remember, and that's a bad thing.
But they are moving back to the blue.
Yes, they are moving back to the blue.
All right.
I don't know that I read any Marvel this week at all.
Since we all read Marvel, do you have a non-Marvel to mention?
Did you
Well,
read
we can
Batman
go.
Future's End?
Yeah, we can go across town and talk about some of these DC books. Batman Futures End basically tells the story of how Batman is broken down and dying because of his war. Just being Batman and pushing himself to the limit time and time again has left him almost in a crippled state, and so he has to augment himself.
In just 5 years.
Yeah, almost like a real person would.
Oh, you mean almost like how the movie tries to portray it?
Yeah, it's kind of weird how some of that stuff works.
Oh.
But he decides that there's one last-ditch effort to try to keep himself going, maintain his legacy, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And I don't want to spoil exactly what it is, but you can kind of get an idea from the cover.
Yep.
But that's a big he goes after.
No, he's not the multiple man now. But
No. But that's the Bat Army. It was one of those where, again, it felt like an Elseworlds. It felt like this could have been the backup story in the annual or something like that. But at the same time, it was well done. Like, I got done reading it, and I'm going, okay, well, this will never actually happen, but that was a cool story. Like, I really enjoyed reading it. I thought it was well done. So
I thought it was good. I agree with you. I thought it was well done.
I like the reasoning behind why the particular villain had what Batman wanted at his disposal. I like the idea of why he had it there. It tied into another part of the DC universe.
Correct.
So I like that kind of big picture thinking that it did. I like the way the villain was handled. Like, it was perfect for who that villain is and what he does. So just like everything, it was the right beat. Like, everything was on the right beat for telling a good story, and so I enjoyed it. When I got done, I was like, well, that was fun. Like, I really liked that. But at the same time, is this what DC Comics are going to look like in 5 years? No way. Not absolutely not. So, anyway, it's worth reading if you're a fan of Batman, but don't think it's a big must-read thing.
It was a fun read. I agree.
All right, let's see what else. Where's Batgirl? There's Batgirl.
Okay, I didn't read Batgirl. You're on your own.
But didn't Tim read Batgirl?
I did.
Yeah, so there you go.
Hey.
So Batgirl 5 years in the future is she's kind of mean. She is basically in charge of these other Batgirls, I guess you could say, and she's kind of mean and tough on them. I don't know what Tim thinks, but I have to say that I thought the first 3 pages that show her history of what happened, at the beginning of her journey to this character, I thought that was the dumbest setup with her brother coming in and attacking. That just felt like absolutely out of nowhere and the dumbest.
And her fiance was dumb. Do this to yourself. Okay.
Right.
And nobody else gets involved, and she can't do anything about it, and there's no one else there who has any sort of powers and abilities. And it just didn't make any sense.
It seemed
no, she went to try to do something, and it still happened.
She went after the brother while the fiance did his thing.
Right.
Yeah, and he was just like, "Oh, okay, well, good luck with that, but I'm gonna go ahead and do what he says." It's like, what?
It seemed like they tried. Like, the story was kind of there, and then tried to hurry through it to get to the fun stuff of what you see on the cover.
The Bats of Prey.
To me, it would have worked better if, she had lunged at her brother, and everybody starts shooting, Like suddenly, like all the cops start shooting, security guards start shooting, he starts shooting, and then you've got crossfire, which leads to this tragedy. But instead, he's just like, okay, well, here I go, bye, and like whatever.
I found myself genuinely laughing at James's response after that happened, because that was like, okay, this was stupid, but that was pretty funny.
But I think once it got past that, because I was reading that and I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to like this. This is terrible. But then once it got past that, then I was okay. I was fine with the three Batgirls that she's working with. I was fine with kind of her backstory of how she became this way. And I was fine with she eventually, like, it's not a big spoiler, so I'll go ahead and say she goes up against Bane. And the final confrontation is this fight between her and Bane. And all of that I was fine with. It was just that those first, like I said, 3 pages or whatever, where her brother appears, that just was so terrible.
It was silly.
Yeah. But, overall I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like you said, for a standalone story, that definitely isn't the future. It was fun. And props to Javier Guerrera, I think the artist. I really liked his art. He's done some other stuff. I need to Google and see what other stuff of his I've read.
I like the idea. Well, it's one of those things where they had the 3, Batgirls in training, or whatever you want to call them, and it's like, okay, well, that's Stephanie Brown, that's Cassandra Cain. Who is this other one? And and I kept sitting there thinking, well, who is this? Like this character out of nowhere, and my thought was, is this someone from Birds of Prey? Because I haven't been reading Birds of Prey, so I was like, is this some character from there? But then once they revealed who it was, I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. Let's see. I did read the Justice League United one. And it's actually a part 1. It's going to continue in Justice League that comes out next week. So, I mean, it's the first chapter of a story, so who knows how it's going to turn out. But it was fine for what it was. I'm pretty sure the way it's going to fall into Justice League itself, it's not going to be that important if you read this one or not. But I thought it was interesting to see the Justice League of the future. We've gotten some glimpse of them in New 52, Future's End. So to see him here in a little more detail, Cyborg is the one in charge. His new team, it kind of gave them a little more personality than we've seen in the ongoing Future's End. So I thought overall it was fine, but because it's just kind of a setup for Justice League, it just didn't really feel like it had a lot of oomph to it. It's like Justice League is going to be the one where everything happens. This is just the one that sets everything up. So.
Okay.
Let's see. Suicide Squad. New Suicide Squad. I'm not really sure how I feel about this one, to be quite honest. Suicide Squad, of course, is this rotating team. They take villains who they think they can control and make them into this group to do Amanda Waller's bidding. And the cover that they showed was Deathstroke and Harley Quinn behind bars, and then you rotated a little bit, and it's Harley Quinn sitting on the White House desk in the Oval Office. That is nothing to do with what happens inside this issue. Like, that is completely misleading. It's not even close to anything that happens in this book. Instead, what you find is after the Great War with Earth 2 and whatever, they've built this new prison to keep all the villains in. It's underground. It's kind of forgotten about. Everyone's just basically left there to live out their days and die. And Amanda Waller has gone into hiding to hide from the government, and now she comes in to bust out all of these former Suicide Squad members to go on some last suicide mission, to go on this last hurrah. And I have to give them credit for ending it the way they did, because it ends with the death of a character, and this character is kind of narrating the story. So he dies, and the mission is still going on. So I have no idea if this is going to be like continued in the Harley Quinn Future's End or what the deal is. But they're on this mission, and the guy dies, and he's laying on the ground, and there's still fighting going on around him, and it just kind of fades to black as he has his final thoughts, and then that's the end of the issue. So it was.
See ya.
I mean, they had some cojones to put this story together. Like, I'll give them that for it, but I have no idea. Like, is that it, or is this going to get picked up in, some other Future's End book? I don't know, but I mean, it was interesting, if nothing else. Some of the changes that happened to the characters over the 5 years are interesting, but I mean, it's really the story of her gathering everybody together, and they go on this mission, and one of them dies in the end. So there you go. So like I said, not really sure how I feel about it. Let's see. Oh, and I did read Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey, it's kind of misleading because it's really just the Black Canary story. And that's really it. Although Barbara Gordon, in her quasi-evil form, does make an appearance in here. But really it's the story of Black Canary, who has taken over the League of Assassins and has turned it into her own Assassin's Guild, but she's using it for vengeance instead. The problem is it's really kind of unsatisfying how the story ends. They go after this villain. They're going to bring him to justice. He's doing human trafficking and whatever, and Barbara is there to stop them because she doesn't understand what exactly is happening. They have this big fight, and then she kind of explains to Barbara why they're really there, and so Barbara's just like, okay, well, fine, do whatever you want, and then she just leaves, and they go to get this bad guy, and he's committed suicide, and like that's the end.
Okay.
So it's kind of pointless, really. I mean, I guess it gives you a window into what Black Canary becomes capable of doing, I guess. But, I mean, overall, you're like, okay, well, they didn't get the bad guy, and they have this fight between the two characters that gets resolved by having a conversation. So that's not really thrilling. So, overall, I was just kind of like, bleh. Like, I had forgotten I'd read it. That's how little an impact it made on me until I was looking at the cover here. And then the last one I read was The World's Finest with Huntress and Power Girl. And it's, I mean, really, the characters from Earth 2 have been rounded up and put into this prison by Cadmus. And so Power Girl finds out that Huntress is being held there, so she goes in to try to find her, and instead she gets captured. And that's kind of it. Like, I feel like it's probably going to play into Future's End, the ongoing series. But as far as this particular issue itself, it just there was a lot of stuff that happened, but none of it really meant anything more than Power Girl just running through this complex trying to find Huntress. That was it. So, again, kind of unsatisfying. So. That's what I read for Future's End this week. So
Wow.
Yeah, I tried to get through as many as I could, but I got to a point where I just couldn't do no more.
Yeah, I read, was it the Robot Sit site from Comic Book Resources? Like, I guess they've been doing a weekly review of the books, and I guess they were saying how this week's shipment seemed to be a lot more Elseworld type stories than I guess maybe the first week. Because they were saying how great the Grayson issue was last week, and
right.
a couple of other ones. And this week
Yeah,
it didn't really hold up.
Well, like I said, the Batman one was at least, I thought, a good story. But that's really, out of a lot of them, the Batman one was really the only one that I really felt like, okay, well, I'm glad I read it. You know what I mean? Like, that was to me an interesting story. It was a well done story. I at least enjoyed it and appreciated it. All the others just were there for the sake of being there. Although I have kept up on Future's End, the main story here. And so I'm still enjoying it, but it's gotten to the point now where, because it's weekly, and they're switching off between different writers and artists in between each story segment, and it's jumping around in between all of these different things that are happening. It's getting to the point now where it's like I sat down to read this, and it was done before I really knew what was going. It feels like it goes by so quickly because there's so much stuff being covered that nothing really goes too in depth. So it takes, sometimes 2 or 3 issues of these to make your one issue worth of story with one character.
Right.
So it's just getting to that point where it's like I sit down to read it and I'm like, okay, well that's kind of interesting, and then it's gone, it's done, because it feels more like you're reading 4 mini comics instead of one full issue. Like, I almost wish they would do with Future's End what they did with 52 when they did that series, because they did in that one a lot more of the first week was following the rogues from Flash, and then the second week was following Lex Luthor, and then the third week was following whoever else, and it was like it rotated that way every week, so that it felt like you got a full issue every week of part of the story, but it was going to different parts of the story. Whereas this feels like you're getting 3 or 4 pages of a particular story in each issue, and it's like you're not getting enough of the story as you're going. But that's really my only criticism of it. Otherwise, I think it's going along fine as far as that story goes.
Okay. Let's see. What else is on the list? Let's hear about Hawkeye number 20.
Sure, let's do that. So this is the continuing adventures of Kate Bishop out in LA. As a matter of fact, this is pretty much wrapping up that story. Excuse me. So while Kate was out in LA, she got entangled with Madame Mask and their little feud. What happens in this story? She finds out what has been really going on here, which turns out to apparently slightly involve S.H.I.E.L.D. and some tech of theirs that we all know and love.
That's right.
And this is after she finds out that Hawkeye's in trouble, so they kind of touch on that for a second, which means they're going to try to get her back over to the east. And it was a pretty decent read. I thought it was a satisfactory way to kind of bring her story, not necessarily to a close, but just to kind of
wrap up this particular arc.
Yeah, to wrap up that arc. So
I liked it. I liked it very much for that too, because
Yeah.
I felt like the Kate Bishop stories in this were kind of meandering,
right.
and I was glad to see Fraction really tie a lot of the looser threads together. And there was some great jokes in this too, like the USB arrow. I got a kick out of that. I almost I laughed out loud reading that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It's pretty much Kate being Kate, which has been pretty good. And there was one thing. Oh, the part about the one guy that kept coming up, the cat food guy, I will call him, that kept coming up and explaining how he's suddenly around and tying into everything else that was going on with Madame Mask. That part was like kind of at first really, and then it was like, okay, well, you got to explain it away some kind of way.
Right.
It worked, I guess, after I got past that part. So it was an enjoyable read for that, and like I said, I'm looking forward, even though there's like 2 more issues left, to see what's gonna happen. So,
Same. I agree.
Amazing Spider-Man number 6, which was the end of the initial arc where Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is back in his body, and he's involved with this new character introduced during the original Sin tie-in called Silk, who was also bitten by the same radioactive spider as him, and they're battling Electro and Black Cat, and Black Cat is setting herself up as similar to Catwoman in DC Universe trying to run the underground, or the villain underground in New York City. And so the initial couple pages was funny where J. Jonah Jameson tried to reveal on TV Spider-Man's identity.
Right. An unmasked Spider-Man. He tried to
But-
show him.
But it doesn't go according to plan, of course.
It's funny.
So
It's very fun.
everything ends pretty. Oh, yeah, well, I won't spoil that. I was gonna say like I said, the initial arc ends. Something happens to Electro. Black Cat is trying to amass sort of like a gang of villains.
Yeah, she's trying to become a godfather.
Yeah. And now next issue will jump us into Spider-Verse.
I thought this was an interesting way to wrap up this arc. Like you said, is the next issue Spider-Verse?
I believe so.
So, I mean, I wasn't sure about that, but there's an underlying. Actually, wait. Let me withdraw that. What's interesting about this is, we know that Peter Parker is supposed to be smart, but we're going to. I guess maybe one of the things that Slott is going to play with is, Parker's still not as smart as he could, as some of the other smart people in the Marvel U, and every smart person makes mistakes. So I'm kind of interested to see where Slott goes with that. They were kind of dropping hints at the end of the issue about some of the things that Parker's trying to develop as part of Parker Industries now.
Yep. Rapid review time.
I think so.
Sure.
I think so. Let me throw out Avengers 34.1.
Yeah.
This was a spotlight on Hyperion. And it was a slightly, I guess, it's a Marvelized take on the Superman story in the Superman dilemma of kind of being super, almost overly powerful in the Marvel U, and not knowing what to do with yourself and what your purpose is. And we have Hyperion's I guess rough equivalent of a Pa Kent, and some of the moral stories that he moral centers that he's developed based on his version of Pa Kent, and how that translates into how he reacts to this, the 616 Earth as opposed to the Earth that he had just come from. Listen, I'm not a fan of Hyperion because he just doesn't seem all that interesting to me. They're trying to make him interesting. Are they doing a good job of it? They're doing an okay job of it. That's what it comes down to for me. Rodicat, what do you think?
Well, a couple of things. Initially, it seemed like the story was rather unnecessary.
Okay.
But as a standalone story for what it was and what it potentially could be setting up, it was decent. I mean, because I feel like they're probably, especially with the stuff with what was said at the end, they're kind of setting up something, for him to become the focal point on.
Okay.
And if they really wanted to, which they probably won't, because I don't know why they would make him an Avenger and turn him evil, but they could potentially start a storyline like that. I don't think they are. And it also seemed like it was something like, well, I guess because they were doing this at the beginning, kind of doing little standalone stories at the beginning of of this run of Avengers. As I think about it, but this could have been something that was like a part of Avengers World.
Agreed. That's a good point.
So
I read the majority of this, just giving it a chance because it's out. Ewan, whose Ryan I like, but even he couldn't get me to care about Hyperion.
Yeah. Like, it was written well, but yeah, the story was just, it didn't seem, unless it comes up in some other fashion, it kind of seems needless. Like, usually a .1 release would have presumably some tie back into, like, I don't remember what happened in 34 to where this would even tie into. And that's not necessarily to say that it, you know, has to, but that's usually how they have been going. So I don't know. Like I said, it was a decent read. I just don't know if it was going to go. If it's going to go into anything.
Gotcha. All right. More rapid reviews. Anyone read Superman Unchained? So, very quickly, this is more Superman trying to overcome the odds, because he is Superman after all, and he's trying to defeat Wraith, who is surprisingly more powerful than he, despite the fact that they have very similar solar-based powers. More just pointless storytelling. I hate to say it. I really didn't see what the whole point of this limited series, what became a limited series. I was excited to see Snyder's take on Superman. Overall, I'm not that impressed by this particular story. The Jim Lee art in this was okay. There's a couple of great 2-page spreads. One of them is literally Superman taking a ship and sticking it upside Wraith's what. Other than that, 2-page spread, a couple of nicely done 2-page spreads doesn't make up for just a pointless book. I just did not see the point of this.
Okay, I think here's what Snyder was trying to do. He's saying, we're going to take another character who's just as powerful as Superman, and we're going to show what makes Superman more than just a big, powered monster. Because that's what Wraith is. Wraith has the power. He's, raised by the military. He's there to end wars. He's the one that goes in and destroys everything, and just wipes everything out. And so, if he goes head to head with Superman, can Superman stop this? Really more like a force of nature? Is this the irresistible force and the immovable object, or is there something more to Superman that makes him, head and shoulders above a similar powered being? And the whole point of this particular issue was to say Superman's time around humans and living life as a person has taught him how to stand for something and how to live for something and how to care about something, which gives him an edge when it comes to a fight, because it's not just about I'm going to overpower you. It's like I'm fighting to save lives. I am fighting to help people, and I have to give everything that I have. It's not just a job. It's what I actually live for, because this is my life, and my life just happens to be that I am super powered. And so with that being kind of the theme of it, then I see what Snyder was trying to do. The problem is that's like a 3-issue arc that he's done in 8 issues here. You know what I mean?
Which means I lost all track of what the story was supposed to be about based on what I just said. I'm like, what the hell was the point? So
because this issue basically just comes down to these 2 big dudes punching each other out, and Superman finally saying, well, part of what my life has been is the fact that I have to learn how to fight because I want to save people. I'm not just here to destroy. And that's what gives him the edge over Wraith. But you don't take 8 issues to get there. That's the problem with this particular series. If he had done that, if he said, I'm doing 3 issues and then hand it off to somebody else, and he had done this story where the big beast appears, it looks like the 2 of them are going to get along, then they turn on each other, and then you have that battle in issue 3, then I think it would have been fine.
Right, or even 4 issues, but that's it.
Yeah, even 4 maybe, but 8 is just way too much.
It's just been dragged on and on to the point where even someone like me who read the first couple of issues and enjoyed them somewhat, but just lost track and lost interest.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem is also the delayed release of this, because Jim Lee still pencils at the pace of Jim Lee,
right.
Which means he should have started drawing this in 2010 if they were going to put it out this year.
Or at least have inkers who are, going to really do a lot of embellishing.
Right, but the problem is, like, I know exactly what you mean, because I even sat down to read this, and I had to sit there for a minute and think, what is this story about? Like, I forgot, like, oh, Wraith, right, that guy. Like, I forgot, like, he was the character in this series. So, I understand what Snyder was trying to do, and I think there is a story there. It's just not an 8-issue story.
Aren't they almost doing the same thing with this dude in Superman?
Yes,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yep, very similar.
Which I still need to read last issue.
And that one's more interesting. So.
Well, that one's interesting because it's more of a Superman parallel.
Right.
Displaced from from his home.
So, anyway, although I forget, is there one more issue of this coming out?
I think it's 9 issues.
Yeah, so I think there's one more, which I have no idea what they're going to do in the 9th issue, unless they're going to have a whole issue of just him talking about how he beat this guy and how he doesn't trust the army. It's like, okay, well, thanks for giving us a whole issue of that.
Well, no, there's that one. There's they try to end with how what's going to happen in the next issue. There's an invading fleet. Remember?
A fleet of race.
Oh, but I thought that was going to tie in with something else. But okay, well, we'll see.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't don't read enough DC to realize that that's going to tie into something else.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
But anyway, not compelling.
Nope. Okay.
I did read Spread number 3 though.
I was just trying to skim that, and there's a lot more words in this one.
There are. No says a lot more than no in this issue.
And I'm trying, and I was literally trying to run through this while you were jibber jabbering about the rest of Future's End that I don't care about. and I'm trying to read it. I'm like, wait, why is there so much talking in this book? So you go on and describe it. You won't spoil anything for me.
Well, actually, it's funny. At the end of the book, Justin Jordan, the writer, actually, there's no letters yet for the letters column. So he wrote about how he always thought that Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome was the weakest of the series, but at the same time, he really enjoyed it because he liked seeing how civilization kind of regrows out of the apocalypse, and that's what this issue was. It was him going and finding the remnants of civilization and trying to show like just how different the world is, because we understand, crap happens and people are stuck out in the wilderness and whatever, but what you actually find out is that this main character who's known as No, he's actually chosen to live out there because he doesn't like what humanity has become, and so he goes to this outpost where humanity is, and it basically talks about how humans have this need to come together, and they have this need to reform a civilization and to have a society and to have structure and to have rules and to have a leader. It's just kind of like something natural about civilization, and he hates it. And you see this world in which these people live, and it's post-apocalyptic, so it's going to be pretty awful. People, doing all manners of terrible things in the name of survival, and as you can see by this wonderful looking fella on the cover, even going so far as to eat the other people. You can see a hand sticking out of his bowl there. That's this particular scene may not necessarily happen in this issue, but this does happen in this issue. So he's looking at what the horrible remnants of civilization are at this point. So it's interesting in that sense, but also another character who we've seen in the background I think he might have appeared at the end of the first issue. There's a random kind of wandering preacher character, and he appears in this issue, and at first you kind of think he's just kind of a throwaway. He's just kind of there for, someone to make fun of, talking about the apocalypse and whatever, but it turns out he's going to play apparently a much bigger role in what's happening. And by the time you get to the end of this issue, he's like, I don't think you ever see him again, but you're seeing that he has influence and he has power, and there are certain things that are happening because he wants them to, and so you're starting to see that there's a much more complex kind of conflict going on in here than what you originally think. So I'm still enjoying it quite a bit, and I enjoyed this issue a lot. Looking forward to the next one.
As I've become fond of saying, it's right up your alley in terms of post-apocalyptic, existences and realities. I'm trying to read through it now, and there are a bunch of talky parts, and there's a couple of action sequences. I'm trying to, I guess, make sense of it all. I'm gonna have to sit down and read it and see how everything's interconnected between the first two issues and this issue, because it seems like there's a lot more happening in this issue in terms of setting up the world that No lives in.
Right.
So
well, and I think the first two issues are set up more as here's a conflict, here's a resolution, so you understand the world he's in and the type of person he is.
Right.
Whereas this one is much more of, okay, now we're going to draw back a little bit and kind of expand the world a little bit more, so you can see kind of this bigger picture of what's going on around
what No's reality really is.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I enjoyed it. It's a good read. I think people should check it out, especially if they love that type of stuff.
I need to get caught up on that. Maybe this weekend.
All right.
The only other quick review I want to throw out was the end of Avengers Undercover number 10. Usually when books are canceled early and they have to rush through their final storyline, I usually don't enjoy it as much, but this had a kind of a nice ending. Things ended nicely for the kids. They got to not go to jail or be arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D. but Baron Zemo and his gang of villains did get away, and they're kind of left out there in the wind to be picked up on by another writer, perhaps, if they feel like it. And they teased at the end that Bill Roseman, the editor of the book, teased that Ty Walker and the colorist, whose name I forget, are working with him on another, like a solo teen book that might be announced later on. So we'll have to stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And yes, one of the teens did join the Masters of Evil. They didn't make a big deal out of it, though. Actually, someone else actually joined with them too. So that's all I will say.
All right. Well, I got one. Real quick, Captain Marvel number 7. We finally get to. Well, we don't get to find out. Let me phrase that. We start to get to find out what's going on with the Flurkin cat.
The damn Flurkin cat.
Yep. So Captain Marvel, after her adventures on the other planet, gets back with her ship, and Rocket Raccoon is there. So there was a guest star. Some comedy ensues after. Well, it's not much comedy because they get attacked basically, which may or may not have to do with the cat. But we do find out that the cat was maybe more than what Carol thought it was.
Kind of like with what was Kitty Pryde's dragon? Lockheed.
Yeah. So yeah, we get into that. It was kind of funny. There was a little back and forth between Rocket and Carol, which was amusing until the end of the story. So I don't know. This could be a couple of issues. I don't know what if this is going to go into a full-on arc or not. But
I will say I'm looking forward to reading this to see Marshall Murray, however you say his name, the artist.
Some good art.
I want to butcher his name. Let me look it up real quick. While I'm looking that up, my brother, Adam Black, says, ideas that sounded good on paper, Scott Snyder and Jim Lee on Superman.
Agreed.
Marcio Takara, who used to do art on the book that Dirt used to enjoy. Supergirl, I believe. I think you did art on that.
Not enough to sway me to Captain Marvel.
Well, listen, Captain Marvel's a pretty good. You know, it's definitely one of the better written books. I didn't have a chance to read it this week, but
It's so good I didn't even bother to read it.
yeah, well, I didn't have a chance to because it didn't appear in my, it wasn't available to me this week.
Yeah.
Hey, Dirt.
Hey, what?
Did you read Robotech Voltron 5?
I have not had a chance to read it yet.
Okay, because
It was one of those I was hoping to get to tonight, and I didn't have an opportunity to read it before the show.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't get to read it either. I was just wondering.
I was it's the wrap up of the miniseries, so I know there's some good stuff that's going to happen, but no, I haven't had a chance yet.
Gotcha.
So, although I did read Magnus Robot Fighter.
That's a nice cover.
That was really good. I'm still enjoying this series after reading the 0 and the number 5 that we had last month. That really, did a good job of explaining everything and explaining why the robots are in charge and how humanity has gotten to be what they are. And now that it's been a month, I guess we can go ahead and spoil it since it's the next issue now. But basically, what happened is humanity started turning to nanites to, fix their bodies. So you get cut, and the nanites come and, heal the cut. You lose an arm, the nanites come and help you grow a new arm. And then over time, humanity became more and more robotic. And we started turning into cyborgs. And the cyborgs started actually turning into robots. And people started putting their consciousness into robot bodies. And eventually, biological humans disappeared. They didn't quite die off, but there were only handfuls of them here and there, pockets of them, and some great awakening and awareness happened within the hive mind of the robot humanity, and they shed their human forms, or they shed their body forms, and as a consciousness went off into space and just left Earth. And so the pockets of humanity that still remained and the few robots that were not advanced enough to go basically rebuilt civilization with the hope that this great consciousness is going to come back and take the rest of them with them, that they'll be able to be good enough this time to be part of that consciousness and to go off into space. So it really is like this kind of religious idea. This idea that they had like this great awakening and they evolved into something greater and they took off and left Earth, to be something greater and something more than what they had been. And now the remnants left behind are trying to, re-evolve to that point where they're hoping it's going to come back as like the second coming to take them and join them to the consciousness. And so the humans that are part of this society look up to the robots, and the robots are hoping to become better robots so that they can join this consciousness. So people like Magnus, who fight against the robots, are seen as evil in this society because he's killing the robots. And the robots are the ones who are going to achieve the great consciousness, to rejoin the great, mind think in space. So that's what's motivating this society. And so that idea of this, robotic religious experience is really kind of fascinating to me to think of this mythos that they built for these characters. But at the same time, you can see how the robots really are using the humans. They think of them as like bugs. They're really just not worth it to them. They just, how dare these things even think that they're, remotely even close to us as these, perfect, pure robots. And so that is the world in which Magnus lives. And humans are being used within certain groups as, these groups are known as harvesters. And they want to keep a little bit of humanity, but at the same time build themselves up as better robots than the ones who are pure robots, because they think they're like a sect. they think that they need to be part human and part robot in order to evolve into this great, awakening, whatever. And they see pure humans as just meat. So they're harvesting the humans. They want some replacement organ, so they just kill the humans and take that piece and put it into their body. And so someone that Magnus cares about gets kidnapped by the harvesters, so he has to go in and rescue them. And that's what this issue is about. He's going up against the harvesters. He's going in trying to rescue some of these humans that have been taken. So you've got a little bit of a Terminator against humanity type thing going on. You've got this, bigger kind of religious thing. Yeah. So all of this stuff is kind of playing into it, and I'm really enjoying how many levels he's putting into this and how many different factions and groups, and how this really does feel like much more of a real society, because a lot of times when they do a book like this, it's like a Judge Dredd where you just have, there's the elite and the poor, and that's really it. Whereas here, you actually have different layers and different structures and people who believe different things about why they're doing what they're doing, and it all, it's much more than just, I'm good and that guy's evil and now they fight, So I've really enjoyed this series quite a bit, and it's only 6 issues in now plus the 0 issue. It's real easy for people to catch up on this, and I hope a lot more people give it a shot because it's been really good so far.
Cool.
That's my spiel.
Nice.
Good spiel.
Yeah.
Good promo, man. Any other?
And real quick, Walking Dead, once again, going back to the well of boring, pointless, a lot of talking, nothing really happens. Maybe something exciting will happen next issue.
Yikes.
But nothing really happens here. So there you go.
Alrighty.
Oh,
Clicks of the week time.
Yay. Click of the week for Agent_70 is easy. Now that we've gone through it, I've made my decision. It is Ms. Marvel number 8 this week. I enjoyed this book. I really did.
Dun, dun, dun.
They really did a good job with Lockjaw, too.
He did. He was drawn very nicely.
all right.
After listening to my whole spiel about it, I think I would be a dummy if I picked anything other than Magnus. Yeah, Magnus 6 is where it's at. I mean, I can't overestimate how much I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to go back and read these again because it's that good.
Nice.
And hopefully, as I say with everything else, maybe I'll get caught up one day. I will say I enjoyed the first 2 issues I think I've read. I still have the 3rd one saved to read. I will say probably Miss Marvel number 8 would be my click of the week too.
Wow. Look at that.
But I also want to give a nice, I guess I didn't even bring this up in the reviews, but Inhuman number 5 I enjoyed as well. We got the backstory and origin of Jason, I believe his name was.
Right.
It was a good origin story for him, and I liked how the Unspoken showed up and he was like, "Can I stay in the city?" And they were like, "Sure." And I was like, "Oh, come on!" I was like, "You can't be this stupid." And they weren't.
They weren't, but it still went south.
Yeah, it still went south. So
that's
another good book.
That's funny.
And looks like some stuff's gonna go down next issue.
I was about to say I'm pleasantly surprised by Inhuman, by the way. I'm enjoying, them establishing these characters. Soul, I think, is doing a good job with that.
All right. Other clicks. So we've got mine, got Agent 70s, got Dirt.
So that would leave me with.
Yep.
This is a hard choice of between Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel was already represented, so I don't need to do that.
I was about to say that's 2 out of 3 so far.
Yeah, no, it was great. I will say that. So that's a hard choice. Let's go with You know what? Why not? Hawkeye number 20.
Nice.
I mean, that's probably expected of me at this point, but hey, why not?
That's a
It
good
was actually
pick.
a
I
good
like the
read.
book.
Yeah, it was a good read. Like there was like 3 books I had to choose from. I forgot about Nightcrawler, but it wasn't just wasn't worth mentioning. So
Cool.
I would like to bring up another book though after at that. This is an older book actually, because was going through. I'm trying to let me see if I can hit screen share real quick. There we go. Young X-Men from 2008.
What?
I was on. Well, hear me out. I was on Marvel.
He's like, wait, hold on.
So I tend to peruse, as I think Tim you've been doing, perusing Marvel Unlimited, and came across this book written by Mark Guggenheim, who, as we know, is over Arrow and is about to. I think it's already started. Adjectiveless X-Men.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was trying
The
to.
second issue came out today. Or
Yeah.
came out Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hadn't read it yet. So I wanted to kind of get a little, see what else he's written. So I kind of messed with this a little bit. It was actually not bad. It comes right after Messiah Complex, seems like, and it deals at least the what is on Marvel Unlimited, because they don't have the whole run, even though it was only 12 issues. It pretty much they're reforming the X-Men because the X-Men at this point are gone. Cyclops brings back this group of X-Men with, Blindfold, Dust, I can't remember who these other two, Grey Malkin, Wolf Cub, Rockslide, brings them all together to, as X-Men, but the first mission ends up going up against the old New Mutants, but things are not always what they seem in that, and at the end of the arc that I found, some things end up changing. But like I said, it was a pretty decent read. Yeah, it was a little swerve going on there. So, but it was actually a pretty good read. So, if you get a chance to check it out, do so.
Everyone should give and now our throwback pick of the week is.
Well, that's what I was. That was kind of what I was there for.
Cool. All right. So I guess that will about do it for tonight.
That's right.
Want to thank you all for tuning in live or listening on the replay, audio or video portion. Again, make sure to go to thekliqnation.com. Follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. I'm at TimDOGG98 and at thekliqnation. RowdyCat is at RowdyCat and at NewsNerdsNeed. Agent 70 is at Agent_70. And Dirt is at PCN_Dirt. And make sure to go to his website, popculturenetwork.com. And with that, we will
Alrighty.
see you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We are the Comic Book Chronicles, and we are signing off.
Peace. Yay!